Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And I can't even say my own name this week. In a few moments, I'm going to be introducing Stuart and Paul from Book of Monsters. Before I do, just wanted to thank everyone who's either subscribed to the YouTube channel or liked the Chattering with Nicholas Vince Facebook page. I really helps. It really does help if you can do those things in terms of spreading the word. So before I introduce the guys, just a couple of appearances have got. Well, tomorrow night I'm going to be in Glasgow at the Burnt Church for a screening of Hellraiser with Simon Butterball Bamford and Stuart Makeup Effects Conran. Stuart was 16 years old when I first met him working on Hellraiser, and I have worked with him since. But yeah, so they're both going to be there, and that's tomorrow night. Maybe ticket left, I'm not sure. But Burnt Church, I think it's sold out, but you know, there may be returns or something. Anyway, that's where I'll be tomorrow. Then I've got some filming later in the week. Some of you may have spotted that's for the feature film for We Are Many. That's going to be over in Scotland as well. And then also just recently announced, I'm going to be on August the 11th. I'm going to be at the Liverpool Horror Festival, and my co-guests are going to be Ramsey Campbell and Lawrence Harvey. And I've just been invited, and we've got to set this up properly, but we're going to be doing a Chattering with Nicholas Vince, hopefully live, but almost certainly recorded, but possibly if they can get the Wi-Fi sorted out at the venue or the internet connection sorted out at the venue, then we'll do. So this is going to be on Saturday afternoon, so completely unusual time. But Ramsey Campbell, Lawrence Harvey, if I'm definitely going to be interviewing them. If there are any questions you want me to ask them, then please message me on Facebook and I shall make sure I ask those questions. Right then, all that's done. I'm going to get these two guys to introduce themselves. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Paul.
Hi. How are you? I'm Stewart Sparke. I'm director of Book of Monsters.
And I'm Paul Butler, writer of Book of Monsters.
This is our third time on Chattering now, Nick.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I was trying to remember. So the first time was for Creature Below.
Yeah, that's when we first met you through that Chattering.
Through that Chattering. So that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot's happened since then.
Yeah. Just to say, so actually, this is very much what we were doing this time 2 years ago. I was interviewing people who had UK independent filmmakers who had films at FrightFest. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 weeks as well. But more on that at the end of the show. So yeah, that's how we met, and we actually didn't physically get to meet in person until the screening.
Yeah, FrightFest, where Paul's brother forced a T-shirt on you.
Yeah, you were doing that again.
Well, thank you very much for showing up in that. That was great. I don't know how he paid you or coerced you, but we really appreciated it. And then, yeah, we've always wanted to work with you for ages, and then the opportunity came up with Book of Monsters, and we managed to get you. And then we did our next Chattering was after we just launched the Kickstarter, wasn't it, I think?
Yes. Yeah, and I remember at the time, for those of you who may not have seen it before, the amazing thing about this Kickstarter is the fact that if you supported it, you got to choose things in the script.
Story elements. It was monsters, kills, tropes that you could put in. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun putting those in. We're kind of looking forward to the audience's reaction, certainly the backers when they get to see what's up there, because we haven't announced any of that.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it a secret because I was going to announce it to the Kickstarter backers, and I thought, no, we'll let them see the film, and then they can see it what won. I mean, the trailer gives away a few of the monsters, obviously, because we needed to show them. But yeah, it'll be a nice surprise.
It was really fascinating because I remember at the time saying, okay, so you've got a script and you're just going to slot them in. And it's like, no, you explained it was kind of like a tree. It was create your own adventure.
Like writing a video game almost. So we plotted many alternatives, and then it was a joy for us because we weren't kind of in control as to where the film would go, which was terrifying, but really, really creative as well. So Yeah, if it's terrible, it's all you backers' fault.
You can't step away that easily.
Yeah, just
no. It turned out really well actually, because we were placing bets on the ones that they were going to pick. Some of them we were like dead right, and we were like, I knew they'd go for that one. But some of them we were like, what? Change the script. But it worked out really well, and yeah, the film represents their choices, and the effects guys as well had great fun adapting Abigail's designs. She was concept artist into real monsters, and some of the kills in particular, we liked some of them so much there is perhaps more than one of the ones in there. So, because I mean, come on, some of them are really fun. So
we can't not put this one.
Yeah. So you'll see more than one in there.
So, Crystal, who is this?
Sorry.
Sorry, the lady who did the concept design.
Oh, Abigail Harding, yeah. She did the concept art for the monsters. And we actually saw on Facebook she was at San Diego Comic-Con on one of the Marvel panels, because she's now doing artwork for them. So
she's amazing.
She's awesome, yeah.
Brilliant artwork.
So, and there was one of the perks was to get some of the art prints for her. So we're going to be making those very soon. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have some for my wall.
I want one.
Yeah.
Yeah, put one aside for me. I don't think I backed it for that, but it's like, incidentally, I know why I just said Crystal rather, because we've had our first question come in. So let's get, this is from DVD Scott. Are you going to watch other movies at FrightFest, e.g. Crystal Eyes? They are coming to Berlin afterwards.
Awesome. Yeah, we, unlike The Creature Below, where we were so poor, we couldn't even afford festival passes. We only went for the Saturday, which was a complete write-off for us, because it ended up that we were so on a high from the screening of Creature Below that we just wanted to chat to people. I
had to run off because 7 hours after me getting home from FrightFest, we had a baby. So it was like filmmaking and then fatherhood landed straight after. So this year, no babies planned. I will be there for. So yeah, going to check out loads of films, and there's some really good ones. Really good ones on the Discovery screens. Lots of UK films that are really interesting in there as well. So yeah, there's a big bag.
Yeah, we haven't had time to make our list yet because we've been so busy. But I think for us, Discovery screen films are the priority, because they're films that are coming from backgrounds much like us, and they're really interesting to us. Because a lot of the larger ones you can eventually end up checking out later down the line. A lot of the Discovery ones, sometimes their distribution is quite limited. And we want to meet these
real
people
gems as well.
Yeah.
You get such creativity in that field.
Yeah,
that you just don't kind of get from the bigger highly marketed films.
Yeah, I mean,
you get real surprises.
Last time because you didn't get to see a lot of stuff because of the baby, but I got to see like Egomaniac, Kate Shelton's film,
awesome.
And it was so good, absolutely brilliant. I took long along. I've still got my sock puppet for that.
I still got my sock puppet from that as well.
And it's just fantastic, and I think you can watch it on Hex Studios, Hex Media's channel now.
YouTube, you can indeed, yes, and I think it's just got
like 8,000 views.
8,000 views, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'll put something on the background, then I'm watching the whole thing. I've really done work. I blame her for that. But it's like the sock puppets, we really want to go all out this year, so we're planning on some really cool freebies to give out for people that come to the screening, and we really want to make an event of it.
Definitely, yeah. It should be a fun screening. It'll be a laugh.
It's going to be great. Really excited.
Right. Okay, so the reason we've got a lot of people who love you watching the show already. So let's start with Paddy Murphy.
Paddy!
Okay, so hey guys. Oh, incidentally, I will say now, spoiler alert. We're not going to give you spoilers for Book of Monsters, I hope. We'll probably be talking too much about them. But films later on, we may do spoilers. But if I get that done now, then I don't have to remember. Paddy Murphy says, hey guys, love The Creature Below. Can't wait to see this. Proud backer. Yeah. What would you say was the biggest lesson you learned on The Creature Below that helped on the Book of Monsters? Love you guys.
Oh, thanks, Paddy.
That's a really good question, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so many lessons that we learn on The Creature Below. it was our first feature, and you really cut your teeth on all elements of production. Scheduling was a massive one. The use of several locations. We were shooting in all real locations on Creature Below, whereas for Book of Monsters, we shot in a studio set, which was completely new to us. Prime Studios in Leeds really helped us out, and that was less so a lesson that we learned on Creature Below, but something that we wanted to tackle going into Book of Monsters, was to have a full-on studio build and run a studio set. We increased the crew probably by 3 times the amount as well. So it was a real kind of step up for us. What lessons do you think you took from Creature Below?
I learned nothing.
We made the same mistake again and again.
No, I mean, it's very hard to get asked that question because I really can't think of one specific one. It's everything really. I mean, yeah, scheduling, planning, how to utilize your crew better, how to utilize money. I think we stretched the money even further, because Creature Below was like 12,000. Book of Monsters was part funded Kickstarter at 45,000. And even though it was dramatically bigger budget, it still went very quickly. But we upped the quality of the film. The cast was absolutely fantastic again, and we stretched every single penny. So with the Kickstarter, we weren't kidding when we said every penny's going to end up on screen, because it did.
Yeah, it really did.
And we didn't spare any expense in terms of, if we knew we could do better by putting a bit more money towards, special effects or something else. Me and Paul dipped into our pockets and went even further, because we want the film to be even better. And Creature Below was something where we learned about, missed opportunities that you think, oh, if only we'd have done that. And on Book of Monsters, we tried to get in early on and go, no, we're definitely going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to make it work. And I think it's paid off. Yeah, definitely. But it's all about managing your time personally. It's scheduling yourself as a human being, not just the crew, and so that you don't get stressed out and don't want to give up filmmaking. The first feature was kind of like that. But Book of Monsters, I've thoroughly enjoyed this whole production. Yeah, it's been great, despite slaving away on the computer for many hours afterwards. I loved every second of it.
One of the things I remember when we did the Kickstarter, because you had me up for a day to do the Kickstarter campaign itself, and I just remember getting into makeup and costume, then Paul leading me around saying, okay, you're about to do your interview, Nick, and so, and then the people going onto set, and so you're actually running 2 shoots at the set, 2 studios when you were doing the Kickstarter. You were just fantastically organized on that.
It was a real joy, actually. We had a really great crew, and we knew it was a big, ambitious thing to do. But like what Stewart said, we learned a lot of lessons from Creature Below's scheduling and how we could efficiently use our time. And we thought, we can do this. We've got access to 2 studios. So we had the shoot going on in one studio and all of our promo stuff going on in the other, which was vital for the Kickstarter. And you're right, it all had to kind of sit in my head, because Stewart was busy, obviously. And yeah, it was navigating actors from one room to the other, making sure we had the right promo stuff going on at the right time, so that we could then move them across into the other studio and cover them in blood and then get them back out and do another bit. And yeah, it was that in itself was quite a big learning curve, really, and really enjoyable. I mean, I hope you enjoyed it, because it was had everyone there running around.
So I think one of the things that perhaps you can say a little bit about this was a very young crew that you were working with.
Definitely, yeah, we were incredibly fortunate, and a lot of Northern Film School graduates and current students actually worked on the film, and their enthusiasm and drive, and also their skill, really. They're trained to such a high level. They're like little F1 pit crews almost. They're really on it, and they were just brilliant. Yeah, I remember one of the early days on set that I was down, and we had about 30 people running around doing stuff, and my jaw just hit the ground, and I'm like, I'm the one that doesn't know what's going on here.
That's always the case.
Well, yeah, that is true. But yeah, it was brilliant. And they were just so passionate and so driven. It just added to the creativity. Yeah. And yeah, we were incredibly lucky, and we'll take all of them back in a heartbeat on the next one, hopefully. So yeah, made some really, really good connections with those guys.
And I think as well, is going back to the lesson learned, I think one of the biggest ones was, don't waste people's time. Yeah. So the scheduling was really important. So I think although we had you for just the one day, we got loads of scenes done. And when you were busy doing other things, we got stand-ins to do your line so we could film the girls. And I think with the schedule, you go on a lot of, especially when you start out, you're making your independent film and you get an actor up who's literally in for one reverse shot for the whole day, and they sit there getting angrier and angrier.
Slowly hating you.
And we with Preacher Blow, we learned that lesson. And on Book of Monsters, there are entire sequences in the film where there's 5 characters together, but we never have them in the same room at the same time, because we very carefully thought about it. So all of the monster stuff that you see in the trailer where the monster comes in and rips people apart, that monster was never there with the main cast who are all reacting to it for most of the time. There's a lot of scenes with yourself where the girls were not there, you weren't there, and we had various people who came for pickups as well. We've done a few pickups. It's all about planning that out, and if you can get really good at that, we shot the whole thing in like 15 days.
I was going to say, that's how we were able to shoot it on such a condensed time frame, because obviously we didn't have loads of money, so we had to shoot it in such a condensed time frame. But it worked, and it worked really well. Yeah. It's seamless, really, when it all gets cut together. And hopefully, no one got annoyed with us being sat there twiddling the thumbs because they were on it. Everyone was there doing stuff.
Everyone was busy.
Which is important as well, because if you've got cast or crew sat around kind of not engaging, that can bring the whole crew down, and it can just, I don't know, set the wrong tone, really. Yeah. Whereas everyone, I think, on Book of Monsters was really enthusiastic, really busy, and there's a lot of energy on set. It's good.
It is. I mean, the adage when you're making films is hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, but yeah, there was just such a great atmosphere. I remember having a chat with quite a few of the other cast and crew and so on, and it was a really nice atmosphere. We've had a comment from Greg Orsi.
Greg, hey Greg, he was on set as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's really kind of cool when people make the effort to travel from New York.
Honestly, it was so cool. We were like, he's coming, everybody!
Look, busy.
Greg is one of your producers, yes?
Greg is one of our executive producers on the film, yeah. He was instrumental in making the film happen, and he's involved in a lot of film productions at the moment. And it was just awesome to have him on set, and everyone felt like there's like a celebrity around.
Well, I have to say, Greg supported my 2 short films and came over to Ireland to do that as well. But I remember just walking off the train as I came up, having to step off the platform. I think, that's Greg. No, I'm dreaming. That can't be Greg. No, that's Greg. Oh, okay. Hi, Greg. But yeah, so Greg says, I think it's very true. I think letting the backers decide the story elements and reworking your script based on their responses is a great exercise for learning to deal with future requests of demanding studio producers.
I guess that's a really good point, Greg, actually.
Yeah.
I think that is so true. I'm sure. I think that so that's another thing that's another skill you gained through doing that. So where are you up to with, so in fact we should say, and before we forget, so Book of Monsters screens on August the 25th.
25th, at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. FrightFest. Be there, everybody. We want you to come and see the world premiere of this film. We've spent.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah, put so much effort
fun
into it. And the main thing about it is we've got so many, in pretty much about a few people. Pretty much all the cast and crew are coming to this. For the Q&A, for the media wall stuff, the photos.
And just to hang out and talk. Like we love coming on this show because we get to talk to people through your kind of channel, which is amazing. But we like to talk to people in person as well. So please, if you're around in FrightFest, just hit us up, and we will be there for a lot longer than last night.
Yeah, we're going to be there from Friday to Monday, pretty much, or at least I will. And we're basically, because it's the first time, a lot of the cast and crew will be seeing as well. It's pretty much our cast and crew screening in that sense. We will definitely be having a more personal one with typical blooper reel and everything further down the line. But for this one, because all the cast and crew are going there, we're we're all going for drinks afterwards. I expect it's going to be a fantastic day of celebration where we don't really get a chance to see anything else on the festival, because I'm sure everyone will just want to have a good time. So obviously, anyone who comes to the screening, come and join us, have a chat. We'd love to meet you. And if you're a backer especially, like everyone wants to say thank you to you. So please come.
Yeah, and doubly so for me. And to answer the question earlier on, yes, I will be there the whole weekend and exactly the same position as these guys. But yeah, really looking forward. So if you need to get tickets, there are only 50 left, 50.
Something like that.
Checking the other day, it was about 50 left. It's selling out.
Selling quite well.
Yeah. We've still got a month to go. So yeah. If you're in London, this is where you need to be on the morning of Saturday, August the 25th. And you can go to the FrightFest website if you want tickets. So, as I say, the last time you was the Kickstarter, we talked a bit about the filming process. So what's been happening since the filming? Basically, Stewart's been sitting in a darkened cave.
I was because I do the editing as well. I've pretty much been working on it non-stop. We've got our colorist working on it. We've got our sound designer, sound editor, composer working on it. We've been tweaking, doing the odd pickup here and there.
The sound crew that we've got, they're amazing. Liam also did the location sound stuff as well, which was really great. And his team is just bringing so many other things to the game, really. Yeah. Dave, who's doing the music.
Kyoto Dragon,
aka. Sorry, Dave. He's awesome, and we've worked with him on Creature Below, so it was great to have him come back. So we've had loads of people just work so hard on it. It's brilliant.
And we've had some really good feedback from kind of industry people, because we sent it off. We wanted kind of an outside opinion of people who haven't worked on it, because you should never get opinion of people who have worked on it, because it's completely biased no matter what they did. So we sent it to loads of people who had no stake in it at all. They gave some amazing feedback. We did pickups, reshoots, edited differently. It's made it a film that is 100 times better than what it would have been if we'd have just sat on it and gone, I think it's fine. Because you should never do that. Because ultimately, even though you're the director, you are not necessarily the audience who will be seeing it at the end, and everyone has different tastes. And we got, absolutely fantastic feedback on it, and it's much, much better film for it. And we yesterday I was watching it with the complete musical score composed, and I was watching it with a big grin on my face, because that's when it's finally coming together, and we're doing the sound mix all next week, getting it sent off to FrightFest. Absolutely can't wait. Wait till you hear the monster special effects sound effects.
Gruesome. Yeah.
It will make you laugh and wince at the same time.
Sorry, the reason I was giggling, you could just see me giggling hysterically whilst you were talking. The reason was, Paddy Murphy has just commented, did Nick require a comfort animal? I allowed him to use my chihuahua. Just to explain, Paddy has a beautiful, he's now got two. He's now got a beautiful chihuahua called Stitch, and who's great and who loves me. And me and Stitch are just Stitch is my soul creature, my spirit animal. Anyway, but yeah, he just basically, Paddy wanted to say you guys are an inspiration to indie filmmakers.
You and Celtic Badger Media are doing, man.
Just
keep it up. Awesome. You're killing it. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, I totally agree about Celtic Badger. They're just amazing guys. And they've just started on their second feature film.
I can't wait. I'm really excited.
So the other question that's coming from Scott again, have you got any other festival screenings confirmed yet?
Nothing that we can announce yet. We've obviously been doing the rounds, and I mean, this is one of the things we talked about yesterday at the Comic-Con panel, which I'm sure we'll get into. But it's FrightFest is like this. It's like a badge of honor. The
big stamp of approval.
It's insane. So we have our big list of festivals that we need to submit to. We're like, we've got to submit to them. 90% of them got in touch with us after FrightFest because they go, "Oh, we've heard you've got into FrightFest. We'd really be interested in seeing the film." So we're currently sending screeners off and things, and because the film is still getting sound mixed, we're still technically at a work in progress stage, so we've not got a final version to send off. So FrightFest, again, they viewed a work in progress, and because we've had films with them before, they were more than willing to kind of see past the stuff that was
FrightFest
going
have been
on.
Incredibly supportive of us as
they're
filmmakers,
fantastic.
and the whole getting Bridge Below in there and stuff has been great. But it's allowed us such a platform to be able to speak to other people, other filmmakers, and get festival, contact us essentially. So fingers crossed, we'll have some big announcements coming up, probably after FrightFest at the moment.
Let's get through that first, please.
We want to try and send this one round as much as we can, so people get the opportunity to see it in the theatre.
Definitely. It's getting 5.1 mixed. The bass level on it is amazing. Seen in the cinema. We really want to get it out there to some festivals, definitely.
And I think we should chip in and just say that 2 years ago was the first year that FrightFest had done their stream called their day of what they called First Blood, which was feature films, or first-time feature films, or early feature films of independent filmmakers, and that's where I saw Laurie Brewster's Unkindness of Ravens. In fact, that was a whole day of UK independent filmmakers. They did it last year. I think you're now Second Blood.
I think we've graduated just above now, which is great.
but you're officially kicking off the first. You're kicking off the First Blood day at FrightFest. Or we are. Yes. I'm so looking forward to this. I was like,
I can't wait.
I want to see it with an audience, because I think, most actors will say they're always a little bit iffy about seeing themselves up on the big screen. There is because you just think, oh God, I shouldn't have blinked at that moment. So I'm really hoping that seeing it with an audience, particularly this film with an audience, is going to be really.
You're
really
fantastic in it, honestly. You're absolutely fantastic. Lindsay Fletcher she said, the day Nick Vince was there, she says, I've never been so nervous to act alongside someone like that. And,
someone of such caliber.
Honestly, you were fantastic to have there, because it elevated everybody. One was a horror fan who worked on the film as well, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. So you've done an amazing job, and I think you'll be very pleased with what you've done. Yeah, definitely.
Good. Well, everything I've seen so far and everything I've heard so far is amazing, and the trailer just has me in stitches. The gnomes are going to be my favourite creatures in this thing. But actually, I just have to say, to my fellow cast and crew, Lindsay, who you've just mentioned, and all the other names that have just gone completely out of my mind. So I won't say, but Lindsay, who I had my main, one of my main scenes with, and she's great. She's absolutely. It was wonderful. It was just, it was just such a joy, because it was a difficult emotional scene that we were doing. It was really, not an easy scene to do, and she did great. Really, really good. Really enjoyed doing that.
Fantastic job. We're really proud of that.
Yeah. No, you mentioned earlier on MCM Comic Con, Manchester MCM, or MCM Manchester Comic Con, which is where you were yesterday with some other people. So who were you with yesterday?
Yeah, it was we were with Alan Jones, Paul McAvoy, who were two of the four festival directors from FrightFest, and they'd organised to do a Welcome to FrightFest panel, which was basically introducing FrightFest to the kind of Comic-Con fans of Manchester, because FrightFest is London-based or Glasgow-based, depending on where you look at it. So it was great to try and introduce it to a newish audience. I'm sure there was people there who know of it. But essentially, there was ourselves, there was Dominic Brunt, Joanne Mitchell, there was, again, like yourself, I'm just going blank on the names. Tom Patton was there, and directors of the various kind of films that are going to be.
Johnny Kevorkian, I think, was there.
Yeah, Johnny was there. We had a really great chat. It was really nice to meet him, because we're really excited for Await Further Instructions. It looks fantastic.
And Tom's Black Site as well.
Yeah, that looks like.
As I was saying earlier, there's so many great British films.
Sorry, this is Tom who, and what was the name of the film?
Tom Patton and it's Black Site. It's playing on Monday. I can't remember exactly what time, but definitely worth checking out. It's got loads of action in it, like lots of martial arts and big H.P. Lovecraft kind of
it's very
elder god vibe to it.
It's on our wavelength.
Cool.
Well, he did Redwood, which I think was at FrightFest potentially last year,
maybe, or the year before.
So he's kind of alumni coming back. But yeah, it was really good. And Dom was giving out Attack of the Adult Babies t-shirts as well. He's now available on Blu-ray in the UK. I managed to just snag one of the slipcase editions.
Well done.
Yeah, fantastic.
And Joe's playing her first short
film as well. She's directed a short film, which is going to be playing for one of the features. But yeah, it was fantastic. We showed the trailer for Book of Monsters, which went down really well actually, because I've never watched it with loads of people. Because we couldn't get to Glasgow FrightFest because of the weather.
Beast from the East.
Yeah, so we watched it and everyone was laughing at the gnomes. There's about 200 people laughing. So we were like, good.
Yeah,
it's working. That's what we wanted to happen. So yeah, that was really fun, and it was just good to. We were basically like everyone kind of echoed the same thing, which was that just FrightFest is just so good for filmmakers. Even if you have not got a film in, just go. Because the amount of people you'll meet, the network, I mean, from Creature Below, the amount of networking we did, end up working with us on this one and on future stuff. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Now, I think you've possibly answered what was going to be my last question is, what are the plans for Book of Monsters after FrightFest? Is it just really just waiting for the festival?
Yeah, there'll be more festivals, we hope. But yeah, that's definitely the plan. And then on to distribution, really. We're in a interesting kind of situation with the film at the moment, whereby we are in full control of the film, and we are starting interesting conversations with distributors, sales agents, and things like that, which has been another whole avenue of learning curves and stuff. But we've had a lot of interest. Lots of people have already kind of approached us, even though at the moment it's not 100% finished. It's still getting a lot of good feedback. So hopefully, you can never say with film, can you? But hopefully it'll be out there, and people will be able to buy it and have their own copies.
Definitely.
And obviously all the backers who we are eternally grateful for, we'll be sending out all of their perks pretty soon, really, once the FrightFest stuff is fully complete.
Yeah, I said on my latest, said on one of my last updates, I was like, we've just got to get through FrightFest, and then our focus is fully on the perks, because we've got the dude designs artwork that he made for the key art poster. He's done the DVD and the Blu-ray covers already, so that's all ready to go. We're doing the photo book, the Book of Monsters Grimoire, which was one of the really cool perks, which I definitely got to make one for myself as well.
T-shirts.
The T-shirts as well. Which
you have to stand up to show the T-shirt.
Can you see?
There we are. Hold on, let me just click, Stuart. Keep standing. If you could just model. Yeah, there we are.
There you go, Book of Monsters. But these were the prototypes, because I've been wearing it like every day to try and make sure that it's good wear, which is really stood up really well actually, because I've been wearing it too many times. Because people at work just think I'm really
just
egotistical
all the time.
I'm constantly wearing my own T-shirts.
I'll need to get one of those as well.
Don't worry, we've got plans for FrightFest.
Oh, okay.
You'll see us.
Cool. Freebies. We're making some freebies as well, so keep an eye out. If you come, you've got to come to the screening though. So get those tickets to get.
Yes. Yeah. They're not expensive. I think it's can't remember how much they are.
50, I think, per ticket. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, all right. So, August the 25th, 11 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, London. Be there or miss out. Really, really miss out.
We really want you to be there. This is going to be the best possible experience to see the film, because the cast and crew are going to be there. Everyone's going to be high on the premiere atmosphere.
It'll be real fun.
And just come and do it, and we'll all get drunk afterwards.
I don't drink alcohol, so I'll just be standing there.
Good
But I shall be high on the atmosphere. I shall get high on the enthusiasm.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. So I also asked you on here to talk about your hidden horrors, and I'd like to start with Paul's first. And your choice was Event Horizon, which was a film I had heard of, but had never actually seen.
Not seen it.
I'd never seen
Hellraiser in space.
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
That is it.
And of course, you see, which kind of, that was the reputation it had. And I remember talking to Clive about it, and I don't think he was that enthusiastic about this tag. And I think, and I have to say, watching, I think, okay, well, I'm not really getting Hellraiser from this. So, all right. So before we go into this in detail, let me just say, for those of you who have not seen Event Horizon, this is set in the future. It's a science fiction horror. A rescue crew investigates a spaceship that disappeared into a black hole and has now returned with someone or something new on board. And it stars Sam Neill and a whole load of British actors and so on. And I think the reason why people say Hellraiser in space is because the makeup crew, it's Image Animation. It's the guys who did Hellraiser. And I can see there is a stylistic thing, but Hellraiser to me is a kind of like a domestic tragedy. It's a love thing.
It's very different in that respect, definitely.
Yeah.
It was the whole kind of sorry, this is your film, Paul.
No, but as you can see, we talk about this film all the time because it really is a big influence on us, and it's not necessarily the most well-known film, and it can be a bit of a Marmite film. You either love it or you just don't get it. For me, I think it came out in like '97 or something, so I was 3 years old or something. No, I was quite young when I first saw it, and yeah, it just terrified me. And it wasn't so much specific events within the film, but the whole feel of it, the spaceship design, the internal kind of core, the black hole machine, if you like, which I believe was based on the puzzle box behind you.
Yeah.
Hellraiser. It's just got such a kind of gothic overtone to the whole setting and the whole feel. With these snippets of, they kind of get flashbacks or flash forwards to the hell dimension that it's set, that the ship's gone to, and that's where I think the Hellraiser vibe comes in the kind of graphic chaos of limbs being ripped apart, kind of people's faces all being cut up.
Well, it's in the way that people seek the puzzle box to gain access to this horrific ecstasy. It's Sam Neill's character in this film wants to take the ship back to hell because he likes having his eyes torn out and having his skin. And it's the scene where they find the distress signal and they find, which apparently they had to edit that down like dramatically, and they've recently found like stills from the lost footage where there's people committing horrific sex acts with horrific metal contraptions, being suspended by chains, and it's very Hellraiser-esque. And they're trying to draw more people to this other world, and Sam Neill's become the Pinhead type character almost
trying to bring
within it.
He does throughout the film. And I quite like that. It is this psyche of Sam Neill's character that slowly gets broken down. All based on the guilt of his him not being there for his wife. And it's not necessarily a slow burner of a film. There's lots of things going on. It's always pacey, but all of the characters slowly descend into. They kind of let their grief and their guilt from their past lives consume them, and that's what I found really interesting. And it does have such almost religious overtones to it. But it never once kind of says, yes, God's real, or yes, heaven's real. It's just, yes, hell is real. And if you mess around with science too much, you might end up there. And that in itself is quite terrifying. Just that it doesn't really give hell as a, as a place for sinners to go. It's much more, it's a dimension that's out there And again, that's what I kind of felt with Hellraiser. It was a similar thing. It wasn't necessarily that it was governed. It was just chaos. And what's more terrifying than just brutal chaos? And that's what freaks me out about Event Horizon, more so than the graphic imagery, more so than these kind of slow descent into madness. It's just its core concept really just freaked me out as a child.
It used to be that scary film when I was little, because I hadn't even seen Hellraiser at that point.
Sure.
And Event Horizon must have just been on TV once, and I watched it, and it scared the hell out of me. And it's one of those films that has a lot of jump scares, with a really effective build up to them. Whereas, like, a lot of modern horror is just, I got you, bang, and you're like, oh my god. But this one just shits you up completely, and I think it's it's a really fun film to watch. We watched it together like 6 months ago, didn't we? We were like, oh, inspiration.
Well, it's interesting. There's a couple of points there, of course, I've mentioned on the show before, that I think Clive's idea of Hellraiser is that hell isn't chaos. Hell is total order. It's a fascist state. And the reason that the Cenobites appear as they do is because they're trying to tame the flesh. And that it's a fiercely regimented thing. It's humanity which is chaos. But I mean, that is literally just me being pernickety.
Well, again, it's kind of the two extremes of scale are equally as terrifying and almost, I don't know, it's similar in depiction, at least, with these two things.
Well, I mean, I think as I said, I had not seen it before. It was slightly, and part of my mind is thinking, I don't see the Hellraiser stuff. But what I did find, I agree with you. I think it's really scary. And that you're right, it's not jump scares, it's slow building scares. Because it really is. Listen, if anybody's read Save the Cat, it's monster in the house. But in space. Your house is in space. You cannot get out. This is that's
another element I love about it. I'm a big fan of contained films where the protagonist can't escape or it doesn't jump around too much. So like Bond movies is in another country every 10 minutes kind of thing. They're stuck on this spaceship and it's trying to consume them. And how do they escape and how do they deal with it? And you can't just step out the door and get out. So it's fun.
But also, I think I love Lawrence Fishburne's character and the dynamic play. So Fishburne plays the captain of the rescue ship. Sam Neill is he's the man who created the ship that went into the black hole. That's why he's there. And Fishburne doesn't trust him. But of course he's the man with the knowledge. So you've got Fishburne in this kind of impossible, he's trying to find out what's going on. He's trying to follow orders, etc. And is becoming more and more suspicious of the motives of Sam Neill as they become clear. Really has no interest in the safety of his crew.
But he has a really interesting arc as well, because he has to go against protocol, if you like. At some point, he gets pushed too far, and it's all about survival. But that's when he's kind of, I don't know, that's when his internal guilt gets resolved almost, and he becomes a real hero. Like at the end of the film, I'm rooting for him so much, whereas he's not an obvious protagonist at the start of the film, which I kind of like that. I don't know, he comes to the fore. But again, it's got character, it's got amazing sets, and it's just dripping with design, the whole thing.
Oh God, yeah. And you kind of feel there are scenes where you feel as if Sam Neill's crawling around within one of the element configurations. It's just like, oh God, yeah. I mean, I completely get the Hellraiser, but it's not Hellraiser in space.
No.
And who are we to argue with you?
I was going to say,
that's Bloodline. That's not Hellraiser number 4. Bloodline is Hellraiser in space, and contains Hellraiser in space. Yeah. But and thank you so much. It is a film that I'd wanted to see for years, but it just never got around to seeing.
Did you enjoy it?
I really did, and I said it doesn't. I get scared very easily. We know this. I jump in my seat and so on. But I found it really, really involving. You know, it held me because it's very intelligent. You've got great characters. You know, you've got that. What I also particularly like is you've got, I mean, they all smoke in space, obviously. And this is made in 1997, as you said. Yeah. And you've got this crew that's obviously worked together a lot. So they have they have a shorthand way of speaking, and Sam Neill is definitely the outsider from this group. I love that whole dynamics. And
very much Aliens in that respect, where they had the Colonial Marines, and it felt like instantly first seeing these guys knew each other, and Sam Neill was the Ripley type character brought into that situation. He was much more level-headed than anyone else there.
It's great. Right, so let's talk about The Mummy. Now, we're talking now, just to be clear, because there were lots of choices. We're just saying, right, we're going to talk about The Mummy. The one we're talking about is made a couple of years after Event Horizon. This is the 1999 Mummy, directed by Stephen Sommers, starring Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and John Hannah. And for those of you who've not seen the film before, and again, spoiler alert, but an American serving in the French Foreign Legion, Brendan Fraser, on an archaeological dig at the ancient city of Hamunaptra, accidentally awakens a mummy that wreaks havoc on him and his crew. Yeah, that's kind of not really what happens, but that's what it says on it.
It's like quite a contained film, but The Mummy is absolutely fantastic, because what they did is they thought, you know, you've got obviously Universal monsters have like a long and storied history, but The Mummy was a franchise that Universal wanted to kind of revive for ages. And Stephen Sommers came along because one of my other like hidden horrors, I guess you could call it, is Deep Rising, which was the film he made before this, which is set on a cruise ship, and it's about a giant squid monster that eats everyone on it, and a group of it's very similar. A group of mercenaries on a ship are there to go and rob the ship, but they find everyone's dead and there's a giant sea monster that's eating everybody. And it's very much the same tone, where it's scary, but it's an adventure film with loads of comedy in as well. So The Mummy is kind of him getting that right, because Deep Rising kind of missed the mark on that, and The Mummy is, what if we make a horror movie but with Indiana Jones as the style? And that's all they did. Brendan Fraser's character is a modified version of Indiana Jones that makes slightly more jokes. That's the main difference. He's an anti-hero kind of to begin with. He's in it for himself, and he kind of, by the end of the film, becomes this kind of whip-cracking hero. And it's an insanely fun film, because I think the film's special for me. I mean, I'm kind of biased, but the film, I think it came out when DVDs had just started to come out. So it was one of the first DVDs that we actually got at home. And I watched it, and up to that point, because I had no black and white TV in my bedroom when I lived with my parents, I used to watch Star Wars on repeat. That was my kind of like childhood film. And then The Mummy came out, and I ended up watching that, and I ended up, again, when DVDs came out, they had commentaries on. And that was the first film where I realized that movies were made by people, and you could do that as a job. So I became obsessed with that film, because I used to watch the commentary on it, and I was like, did you know that they have like this thing that they attach to a car and they like drive it? And it's kind of, that film made me want to make films, because it gave me an understanding of how they were made. And I was like, I want to make entertaining movies.
In the early days as well, DVDs had such good DVD extras as well. That was probably loaded up.
Yeah, you got so much stuff. So that was why The Mummy was kind of special for me, because it was one of those films that made me realize that I could do it as a job, and that I really wanted to do it. Because I was like, I want to do like car chases and monsters. And The Mummy isn't necessarily like a real strict horror film, because I think it must have been a PG-13 type of movie. It's got some scary moments in there though, because he like eats the guy's eyes, and it just infused it with so much comedy. So there's like so many great set pieces where they could do it scary, and then Brendan Fraser will throw a joke in there, and you're
it's a good segue to horror.
It's really good
for like younger audiences, which has kind of fallen at the wayside a little bit. Those kind of films that can spark off those darker kind of elements.
It's the stuff where like they go in, they awaken the mummy, and it's a really cheesy film because the guy's there and he's got his book and he's like, "What have we done?" As the camera zooms on his face, and then they're all running in, and then the little beetles come out of the ground and start eating people, and it's got the characters act in ridiculous ways. There's like I can never remember the actor's name. The guy who plays Benny. He's the guy with the fez. Yeah, he was in Deep Rising as well, and he's like the comic relief, lower sub-level antagonist character who ends up helping the mummy because he's such a kind of a coward, and he's like, "My master, he bids you to come forth," and it's really cheesy and over the top. But the action sequences and everything are just fantastic. Where Brendan Fraser's fighting off the mummies. And it's early CGI.
The tone sits really well, though. It doesn't kind of ever take itself too seriously.
Yeah, no,
it's
never.
all tongue in cheek.
It's just
all played really well.
And I watched it again with Lindsay the other day, and I was literally like saying lines before they came up, and she got really annoyed because I realised I'd seen it a ridiculous amount of times. But every time I watch it, I notice something different because it's stuff like the level of detail in it is great. Because the mummy, for example, like, sucks out the blind guy's eyes, and then the mummy mistakes Rachel Weisz for his long-lost kind of love, and it's because the guy needed glasses. So the mummy needs glasses. That's why he thinks Rachel Weisz is a Naxunamun, who's his like long dead lover, and things like that I didn't really notice the first time, but now I'm grown up. When you're a kid, you're like, yeah, kill him, Brendan Fraser. Funny.
You're still like that.
I know, exactly. It's honestly like a film where you get really excited, like they're gonna win, and then they defeat the bad guy. They ride off into the sunset with all the treasure, and it's just insanely satisfying film to watch. It's perfect entertainment, no matter what time of the day it is. It's light and fluffy. You can eat it with popcorn. And you don't get angry at it. Do you know what I mean? It will never anger me. The Mummy Returns, on the other hand, maybe. I still enjoy that though.
I have to. I watched it. I watched. Incidentally, the actor you were talking about is Kevin J. O'Connor, who played Benny, and he's been in most of Stephen Sommers' films, from what I can see, and is a great character actor. I love his voice. I always thought that he is the ultimate weenie.
He's great. He's Rising's one to check out, definitely, if you've not seen it before, because he's great in that, and he's not like, he's still the Weasley character, but he's like on the good side, and it's so good. Deep Rising is like the template for the Mummy, and the Mummy, they did it really well. So honestly, you're watching, you see so many similarities. And everyone has a catchphrase. What now? Oh, no, it's great. I long for that era of cinema. The late 90s. The late 90s.
It's a good time.
That was my time.
Because I find it fascinating, the story of. Am I allowed? Yes, I can say this. I'm sure this has been made public. Clive was invited. Clive wrote a Mummy script.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Long before Sommers. I believe. But of course, it was a Clive script, and that's never going to be PG-13. I've not read it, but as I understand it. But I remember him talking to me and saying, "Yeah," I was like, "What? Just what?" And obviously he was really excited because he loved, he loved these things.
This is the thing, though. Now is the right time for that. They completely, Tom Cruise, I love Tom Cruise, he's a fantastic actor, he's so passionate about what he does, but that film was arse. It was utter, I didn't
know what it was.
It was a PG-13, we can't make it too scary, we can't make it too, it's a Tom Cruise vehicle.
It was made by accountants.
It was,
exactly.
And I was like, the Mummy, the Stephen Sommers Mummy is the perfect example of how to revive an old horror property. And it was that perfect blend of humor, action, and horror. And they could have made it scarier, definitely, but the reason why it made so much money, Universal Studios have a bloody ride based on it. It hit that complete sweet spot, which is so rare, where the audience for it was really wide, but it still was a bloody scary film.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mummy Tom Cruise one was just, ugh.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say, and this is directed by Stephen Sommers as well, Van Helsing.
Yes, that was his downfall. That one, and honestly, I tell you the truth, I enjoyed that when I went to see it.
That the first time.
But as I got older, I realised what a mistake it was. And they put and again, it was such a success with The Mummy. The Mummy Returns made so much money. They kept the set for a TV series. They were going to do a whole TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel called like Transylvania, and it was like Monster of the Week. And obviously that immediately went to hell. But yeah, and then he did G.I. Joe, and he's had a rough time. But you know,
I mean, it was fascinating because I hadn't, funnily enough, before you suggested it, I'd watched The Mummy. I just happened to come across it because I love it. I just think it's a great film. I think when watching The Mummy, and I remember when it first came out, you look at the reconstruction of Imhotep, played by Arnold Vosloo, and that reconstruction of a walking skeleton that becomes flesh, and you just think, Frank Hellraiser, my God, if we'd had that kind of CGI, I think it's great CGI. I think it's, it holds up incredibly well.
It was something that, like, it genuinely scared me when I was younger. And you look back now and you're like, some of it's a bit ropey, but The Mummy, they clearly spent so much money on that. And I remember watching again, this is from watching the commentary so many times, is they really found it hard to sell the effects to the executives because CGI wasn't that widely used apart from Jurassic Park. And there was a bit where the scarab beetle kind of crawls out of his exposed neck and into his cheek, and he crunches it, he like eats it, and they were like, "What is this? This is terrible." And they were like, "No, when it's done, it's gonna look, it's gonna look amazing." They were like, "Just make him a scary mummy," He goes, "Rah!" His mouth needs to be lower down. You know that classic demon face that is in old cheap films now, where it's like, ah. It's like they wanted that, but they waited and waited, and it was like 2 weeks before the premiere. They finished all the effects, and the executives were like blown away by it because they just they don't have faith in
that's the problem, though, isn't it? Yeah. It's as you said, making by accountants. It's someone else outside of the creative sphere kind of going, no, you have to do it this way. And
we'll just we've got Van Helsing. He's a great, and look, we can bring in all the other Universal monsters in one go, and it was fairly obviously we're trying to set up the monster universe again, and it's not like it's the first time they've done crossovers. So Frankenstein meets Abbott and Costello is just the way to go if you want to maintain. And I do find it fascinating the way Universal handle their monsters and the way franchises get handled.
They've been stung though, because the Wolfman with who was in that one? Was it Del Toro? I can't remember.
Immediately I want to say Guillermo del Toro, and I know that's not right. But Google IMDb.
Was it Benicio del Toro? Was it
Benicio del Toro? Yeah.
That film, I really enjoyed it, and it was like a period piece. It was genuinely scary. Hugo Weaving was in it, and it had amazing physical, practical effects, transformation stuff, like American Werewolf. But it didn't do very well because it's a hard 18 horror. So this is the problem: is that they put them out there. They go, well, it's not making money. This isn't working. We'll go back to the PG route. But what they need to do, this is the thing. I don't know. I couldn't give you the answer, but it's very hard because they have to make money. And you've got something like Deadpool now. Oh, it's an 18-rated film. And it's got swearing, and it made money. Wolverine could be 18 now, and that's paid off because the last Wolverine, Logan, was amazing. But now he's going to shift too far the other way, and he's going to cut it. Oh, God, I don't know. Kickstarter. If Clive didn't...
Most importantly, of course, it's an R rating. That's, rather than the 8, because no one really cares about the UK market. It's the American market, and whether or not they get an R rating rather than a PG rating. I'm really glad I think it's a great film. There was one we're talking about the guy playing Benny, and I have to say, Bernard Fox, who plays Winston, the
Yes,
Allied
it's
Pike.
fantastic.
He's brilliant. And I recognize it. And it was, IMDb, I love you. Winston, he was an actor in the TV series of Bewitched as Dr. Bombay, which is probably where I recognize him from, in the 1960s. He's the only actor to have been in both versions of Titanic, i.e. the 1958 version, A Night to Remember, and the 1999 Seven. And in the 1958 version, he had the line, "Iceberg dead ahead." I just thought,
it's that bit where they're in the plane with him and he goes, "You okay?" And he's like hanging onto the plane. John Hannah's hanging onto the plane going, "Do I bloody look all right?"
And again,
and he's just like smiling on the other wing. It's just brilliant.
I think that's the great thing, is because you've actually got two comic turns. You've got John Hannah playing the cowardly brother, and you've got Benny, the other. You've got these two comics,
and they do have little scenes together where they're kind of fighting over the key and things like that. It's God, I want to go watch it again now.
It is. It's great. And I want to go and watch Deep Rising now because it sounds fascinating.
You must watch it. It's really good. Really good.
It's very good. Okay, cool. So we've gone over a little bit. Only about a minute so far. Okay, so obviously you're going to be there on August the 25th. Is there anything else that Dark Rift Films, which is the production company, is working on at the moment that you can talk about, or what are your plans? Or should we just wait until you've done FrightFest?
Well, we're always in development of stuff. We're always playing with ideas and bouncing things around. And we've got 3 strong ideas that we're really keen to take to the next level, really, and continue to develop. Hopefully building on Book of Monsters, slightly different in tone, potentially. But yeah, we just want to keep making films, really. We love the process. We love getting working with people, getting to talk to people, get to just make these crazy things happen. So yeah, it's just about keeping that train going, really. What it has been great, as we've said, with FrightFest and with yourself promoting it and all the support, our circle's got bigger and bigger. So Book of Monsters was considerably more budget and scope and scale than the first one. So what we want to try and do is keep building that and try and make something even bigger and more ambitious for the third one. And yeah, try and just keep honing our skills and giving people what they want, hopefully.
Definitely.
I think based on, and sorry guys if I haven't been able to look at comments and it's just to see. Yeah, Craig mentions the fact that he's actually seen Event Horizon because he thought it was a sci-fi movie.
That must have been terrifying.
Craig doesn't like horror movies.
That might put off them completely.
and Paddy is saying, have you seen the Night Flyers trailer? Very inspired by Event Horizon.
Yeah, it does look good.
Let me set that out.
Yeah.
And I've just heard a little voice downstairs saying, "Stop laughing at me." Thank you. We love you, Greg. So anyway, right, for last time, August 25th, 11 a.m.
Yes.
Tickets on the FrightFest website. We'll hopefully see some of you there. Please come and say hello to these guys.
Yes, please do. Yeah, definitely say hello.
We will definitely be there and having fun. Next week, I'm going to be chatting with Johnny Kevorkian, who we were talking about earlier on, about his film Await Further Instructions and his hidden horrors. Aislinn Clark, who's going to also is going to be coming in, and Sam Ashurst the following week. So that's the next 3 weeks leading up to FrightFest. I have FrightFest filmmakers, and hopefully I'll have a few FrightFest filmmakers after the FrightFest itself. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having us.
Been a joy as ever.
Good. All right, folks, this has been Chattering with Nicholas Vince. I've been talking with Stewart and Paul, the director and writer of Book of Monsters. Hopefully I will see some of you next week. And I say, if you look at the screen now, you can subscribe and do things if you manage to get the thing right. All right, see some of you.